gracias. No voy hablando en español porque no he estudiado como 2 meses y no he practicado muchísimo. Entonces, let's switch in English. That's better. So, I'm really happy to be here, even if I discovered it like half an hour ago. But I hope you will enjoy this session. Today we will talk about goal setting. This talk is pretty new, so please don't have high expectation because it's the first time that I give it. So I would like to start with a statement that what I think. It's focus, awareness, and curiosity are the silent power behind every great achievement. And it's not about accomplish more. It's about doing what truly matters. And as she presented me, I'm Michela, head of community here in Codemotion, and I'm a TEDx organizer and GDG member, and I'm proudly from Cissone. But as many of you already know, I have a new job title. I'm a Chief Selfie Officer. So we need to take a selfie together as I can accomplish my great job. So raise your hands as I deliver the best talk ever. Amazing. So this is the biggest part. We did it. So if you don't enjoy, you can go. No, I'm joking. So I would like to start with a story. And I would like to share my story. Once upon a time, in the middle of nowhere, there was a little town called Cissone. It's a beautiful town with a great landscape, and here I was born. And I was born with a lot of people that they already knew what they wanted to do in their life. They wanted to be a waitress, they wanted to be a chef, or they wanted to be a doctor. But it was super hard for me because there was a moment when I had to choose the first step, what I wanted to learn at school. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I started to learn agriculture, and then I shifted and studied languages. And this happened again when I started working. I worked for 5 years and a half in the agricultural field, and then I shifted completely in the tech world. And so I started doing stuff, everything that happened to me, like GDG organizing, people were asking me, hey, can you help us organizing these events? I was saying, okay. Or other people said, okay, can you help me just engaging other communities? Okay. Or let's give a talk about what you learned during the last summit. I was like, okay. So I started doing several stuff in so many different fields. Because, yeah, I knew I was able to organize, but still, I wasn't able to focus what I wanted to do in my life. There was a moment in 2021, it was super hard for me, because every certainty in my life, fall down. I lost my job, I lost my family, I lost the relationship I was engaged in, and I didn't know exactly how to rebuild myself. So I attended a training course about emotional intelligence, and there was this framework called the Circle of Emotional Intelligence, where you make a self-assessment about how high is your empathy, your communication skills, and all this kind of stuff. And so I thought, why don't use this framework to my life? So I asked myself, in different areas, how do I feel in this sector? For instance, in relationship, or in my career, or how do I feel accomplish my passion, for instance? And then I asked myself, how would I feel from now in a year in this field? And the third question was, what can I do concretely to reach that feeling? And I did it in several fields, just the main one that came to my mind. So love, personal growth, career, finance, physical energy, behavior, wellness, and so on. And was more or less the result. So in blue, there was my feeling at that moment. In pink, you can feel how I would like to feel. And then, you don't see it because it's a little bit more personal. So the concrete action that I said, okay, if I want to reach, I feel like 7. And I want to feel 8 from 1 to 10. What should I do to reach that feeling? And I said, okay, I want to lose, I don't know, 5 kilos, for instance. And I did this thing for every field. I noticed one thing, is that just by writing down my goals, 60% of them were reached by the end of the year. It was super strange because I just started to do this wheel of life, we can say, and I didn't really look at it every morning. I just did it. I feel like, okay, this is the situation. This is more or less what I want to do. But I just close it and keep it in a drawer. So this was what happened to me. Like after 1 year, I said, okay, that's interesting. Just by writing down and make clear what I want, it's easier to reach goal. Then another thing happened. You know the training course about personal growth. They always say to you, you can make this course 2 hours of free training for you, and it's completely free for you. But at the end, it's just a way in which they want to sell you something. And this was the same thing with consultancy. But that time, I received that call from this free consultant, and it was a little bit different because she told me something that was really meaningful for me. I always was focused on doing stuff. So give talks, manage communities, create new contents, and participate at and attending events. But I wasn't able to see my life like more than 1 year. I didn't have the big goal to reach. So she told me one thing that was super interesting. That was, who you really want to be? I was like, this is a good question. Because we always focus on what we want to do. But when we ask ourselves who we want to be, or who are we, it starts to be a little bit difficult. Because we need to really focus on us and not on what is outside us. So I started, and I said, okay, who I want to be under a physical point of view. So I want to have a specific weight and this kind of stuff. Or I also see about character. So who I want to behave, how I want to react to some situation. And then about relationship. So which kind of relationship do I want to have close to me? And then also about activities, like which are my passion, or what do I want, or what do I like to do, both for passion and for work. And so I have reframed my wheel of life in 4 sectors, and then there are several other sectors inside. And I have done the wheel of life that I showed you before in this way. Then I heard a new video on YouTube. I watch a lot of videos. Like, I'm a videoholic, where it exists. So there was this video from Igor Sibaldi, he's an Italian person, called 101 Wishes. I was like, okay, that's interesting. It was like 45 minutes of video. And it starts with a thing that's, if you could have no limits, would you be able to write down 150 wishes? Because, especially we always said to us, yeah, but we cannot reach our goals because we have no money or not enough, or I am this situation or in another situation. But if you start thinking without limits, of course, you cannot fly because we have not wings, but in more wider way, how can you do it? Like, would you be able to write down 150 wishes? My answer was that after like my first 10 wishes, I had the life that I always wanted to have. So it was pretty hard. Normally people take 1 year or something like that. I had that goal, so I started to do it with a friend. And we did it together, so she stopped like at 50, and I accomplished 150 in like 3 months. It was a huge work. But the point here is, what does really enthusiasm you? Because it's really something that comes from inside. And how does it work, this 101 desire? So you need to write down 150 wishes, select 101. Don't ask me why. He says because it's a special number, because nobody normally says 100 and 101. Remember, it keeps in your mind, so it's okay. Then you read them all every single morning. When a wish came true, you pick one from the 40 that you have, and then you go till the end. I know, you're asking your question. How could this help me to make my wish come true? This is a good question. The point here is focus. We always, if we have clear in our mind which is our goal, we start to see the thing happening in our life with a different light. So our brain starts, if we give to our brain a precise path, we start to make different connection in what's happening in our life. So we start to make connection and also reframing our belief. That's the biggest thing. And the point, it's a neuroscience effect. It's called top-down processing. The brain starts scanning for evidence that supports the new narrative. So if you give to our brain a new filter and a new way in which we can interpret reality, we can transform them in our belief. And if we do that, we start scanning all the reality and the perception in a different way. I'll give you an example. I have no financial intelligence, zero at all. But I know this should be a skill that I should empower a little bit. So this year I said, okay, I want to learn a little bit more about that. And the other thing is that I really don't like this kind of field. But when I started to say, okay, I want to learn more about this, even if I don't like, my conversation, my discussion with people, I don't know how, but I keep some keywords from the conversation. And I said, okay, I started to notice that all conversations started to also, not all, of course, but most of them, to talk about this topic. So I met a lot of people that were able and had this kind of intelligence, from whom I can learn, and they share tips and videos and this kind of stuff. So it's all about focus. If we have in our mind that we want to do something, or if I want to write a book, for instance. Yesterday I had a conversation with a speaker here, and he was telling me, I would like to write a book about this kind of stuff. I was like, that's super interesting. And I knew that there was another speaker writing a book. So this kind of connection comes easier and clear just because we point it out and we share with the other. So I reframe my new routine, and of course, I cannot read 101 wishes every morning. So I recorded my voice, and every morning I started to hear them and the best version of myself. Then another thing is really important are values. And I remember when I was at school, there was my philosophy professor that asked one question that over the years stick to my mind. Which are your values? I know it sounds like easy question, but believe me, for me, it wasn't at all. Because think about what really drives our choices. for me was super, super hard. And over the year, these questions stick to my mind, and I was asking this. So I decided to take a moment, stop down, and at least identify and understand which were my values. So I asked myself, which is really important for me, because I have written them all down, like brainstorming. The second step was to group them and arrange them like in a pyramid and dividing them into primary, secondary, tertiary. And then I split them also in main areas. This was more or less the process. So like I wrote down, it's in Italian, I wrote down all my values. Then I selected them and prioritized them in a pyramid. And then I said, okay, for the fourth areas like well-being, personal growth, relationship, and passion, which are my main values? This make me things clearer, because values are the thing that drives our choices. And if we are connected with our values, everything comes easier. So these are my values based on the different areas. Then, during the years, I studied project management, a little bit of product management, and there were several super interesting stuff. So I said, why don't apply this to the most important project that we have, our life? So my toolbox at this moment was, I had a framework, the Wheel of Life. So Wheel of Life to have clear how I feel and how I want to feel. My being, so which is the best version of myself, who I want to be, and my values. So everything I need to be happy in my life, and wishes, sorry. But I had to make like an ecosystem that works all together, no? So how can I be the best version that I want to be? And how can I stick to the plan that I decided? And how can I reach those goals? So we need to give some meanings. First, what is a wish? A wish, it's a dream if you express it, and it doesn't have a path to reach it. A goal has a specific framework. It's SMART. SMART, I think you know, it means for specific, measurable, achievable, and ambitious, relevant, and time-bound. So there's a specific difference in between these two words. And we can pass from wishes to go to putting resources. If we don't put resources, that can be money, but especially time and effort to a wish, it will never become a goal. And a goal is achievable, thinking also like at work, by a person who has to be reliable and accountable. And this person, if he doesn't know how to do it, like a task or to reach a goal, can learn or doesn't want. These are the two options. If you don't know, you can learn. If you don't want, you will never reach that goal. And having the same goal doesn't mean to have the same outcome. I can have the same goal to reach a specific job position. Of course, doesn't mean that I will reach or as another person. So it always depends on resources that you have and that you want to put in. These slides, we are always influenced. This is really important because we have more, it's super hard to manage. Like we have physical influence, like the environment in which we live. Like if I live in a big city, I have a lot of different varieties of opportunities. That's different if you live from Chisone, for instance. Or your parents influence you, the society, your friendship, and influence you, everything you listen, everything you see, everything you experience. So everything that you do and you experience in your life influence your belief. But we can select. We can select the relationship that we want to have. We can select the environment of work, where we want to live, for instance. And the missed goal setting, not only for us, but it's super important because, for instance, in a company, it's hard to share and understand progress and communicate what do we have to reach and why we are putting a lot of time if we don't share them. Like, I can work 1 year in a project, but if it is not a shared goal, all the companies is aware of that, I can work a lot, but at the end, nobody cares, because this is something that has not been shared. Maybe I'm working on something that was not a goal shared from the company. So here I have my toolbox, as I said before, but there is a difference. So we are not more talking about wishes, we are talking about goals. So over the years, as I said, I've experimented really a lot of stuff. So I've managed companies, I have planned several projects, new workflows, optimized processes, and planned. So I said, okay, I have my being, I know who I am, but how can I be sure that the perception that I'm telling is equal to the one of people that are close to me? So in product management, the thing that you normally do is discovery. And this is what I did. So I made like a Google form, and I was really interested to understand which is the perception that people has to me, because I really changed a lot over the year. Like at the beginning, I was super shy, I wasn't able to communicate with people, and thinking to stay here on a stage talking like in English was really completely outside of my mind. So I evolved myself, and I wanted to see if people saw everything that I became. So I asked them, what are my talents? Which is, if any, the value that I'm able to produce and create with which impact? Who I am. I was super curious to understand me with the filter of others' eyes. So this was super interesting for me. And also the other question I asked was, what areas can I improve in? And what do you think makes me unique and different? I know for some people maybe this seems that it's like I'm uncertain and I want to receive confirmation. But in reality, for me, it wasn't that way. I think that have an anonymous form is I wanted to prove to myself that I was able to accept different views of myself. I share this forum with people that doesn't know what I still do today. I share this forum with people of with my colleagues, with people that are in my world, and also with my parents. The thing that I wanted to were two. The first one, to prove to myself that I was able to accept feedback and react in the right way to what people think about me. And the second one was to understand if what I was working on was the perception that the others had it. Mostly, I shared this form with almost 37 people, and I had like 20 answers. So for me, it was a great goal reached, especially because, of course, they were anonymous. And the thing that I was happy was that more or less, of course, I saw the differences between the field, the way they were knowing me, but it was what I was trying to become. So I have my being, but I was still asking myself, how can I be the person that I want to be? And I have my goals. So how can I reach that goals? And here we start with project management. So first, when we need to start or restart a new project, we make retrospective. So we think about, or we do like a self-assessment, no? So I ask myself, what went well, like in my year, the past year, or in general in my life? What didn't work and why? And what did you learn? So these are the 3 questions I still today ask myself all the day. But that was the best start to understand at which point I was. And I did it for several areas of my life. So what went well about relationship in my life? I'm surrounded by people that I like? Yes. What didn't went well? Okay, I understand. What did I learn during the time? There's this phrase from Steve Jobs that says, you can't connect dots looking forwards. You can only connect them looking backwards. If we only focus to set goals, go on, and think about what we have to do, and we don't stop, we don't take our time to understand where we are, who we are, and the situation in which we are living, it will be always harder because we will always concentrate on what to do, but the why, it could be hard. The second step is the moment of design. So here we have several under steps, which are imagine your life and career like a game. What game am I playing? Like, where do I want to go? Which is the end? What are the rules of this game, of your life? How do players progress if we play this game? And how do players lose? And in this game, is still starving to me? So if you imagine your life as a game and you put all these points, how would it work? Then I talk to myself. And I talk to my inner child. And so I started to imagine like being calm and well in a room. And I imagine to sit at the table with my little Michela and ask her to tell how she is, like how she feels, and what are her problems. And then I started to talk to myself of 3 or 4, 5 years ago. And I asked myself, which advice would you give me for the future, like in work, in personal life, or in relationship? And then I have talked with me of the futures, like the best version of myself. If I read that, the one who has realized and achieved the purpose in the world, what I'm telling me, and if I see her like a CEO of my life, how it will guide me to reach this goal. And then I have set my guideline. So I have decided which result do I want to achieve professionally, personally, emotionally, financially, and also in terms of health. So from how I feel, how I want to feel. And so this is the new reframing of the wheel of life. And then I gave also a name to my annual goal. So what will be the main theme? I have divided this. And so I did like a brief recap of the key area of my year. And I decided to describe freely what I want to achieve. And this helped to define intention and set the right mindset. Another tool that I discovered at the beginning of this year is the vision board. And the vision board is a vision board, so a board where you can visualize stuff. It's clear and specific, so you use image and words that represent your exact experience and goals. It's positive and inspiring, so you can use this kind of image. Normally you do it analogical, but I do digital because you need to place it where it's visible. And the place that it's always visible to myself is the screen of my laptop. So this is my vision board of this year. I put different images I like dancing, so I wanted to go back dancing. I want to grow and several stuff. And I have in my computer as desktop. The third point is planning. So make a list of your main goals for each area. Divide and plan for the 4 quarters, prioritize, find a quarter inspiring title, and find the time in your calendar. This is super important. This is what I did. I have the 4 areas. I have maximum of 3 goals for each area and sub-area. And then I planned this for each quarter. And I gave a theme and I prioritized. So before the thing that truly matters to me. And then I have like someday, maybe, area like, okay, this is something that I would like to reach, but it is not so important. And here we have also another framework, which are OKRs, that can help us also to manage and reach goals. How many of you knows what OKR are? Okay, maybe, so I go faster. OKR are objective and key results. And you have the objective to the top of this pyramid, then you have the key results, and then you have tasks, so the activities that you need to do to reach the key results. And then you have the ideas. So this is more or less the pyramid. And you need to work about outcomes. And the key are and the task are the KPIs, so the metrics that you use to reach the goal. One thing that's super important is that objectives are different from output. The output is the task, what you do concretely. The outcome are the key results, like how you think you will reach that goal. The last step is track. Tracking is super important because if tracking your process isn't just about numbers. It's a way to see how you've come and stay motivated. And remind yourself that every single small choices, every single small step you do, it's a part of something bigger. And if you don't track things, it cannot be measured. What gets measured gets done. How do I do it? Personally, there's a video. Okay. Personally, I have a daily track habits on my app. I build it with AppSheet. I know I'm saying to you, but I'm not a developer. So I track everything I do, like training, courses, workout, and all this kind of stuff. I make daily retrospectives, so I answer to what went well, what didn't well, how I felt emotionally and physically, and what I have learned. Then I made a weekly recap and planning, and then a quarterly review. About work, I make daily stand-ups with my team. I have weekly sync to sharing milestone of the week, and monthly recap with clear shared goals and ownership. This is super important. This is the screenshot of the file that we have in our team with the activities, which are the situation at the moment at the beginning of the year, which are the quarterly goals in numbers, and which is the owner and a deadline if there is. And every month, we take a moment to just review the goals that we have and see what's going on. And this is super important because, especially in personal life, at the end of the year, when you start tracking all these goals, you realize that you have done a lot of stuff, and really, even if you do little steps, at the end, it becomes really a huge impact. So this is the recap of this everything that I shared with you until now. But okay, we have goals, we have done retrospective. We know we have designed the path to reach goal. We have decided how to plan it and divide it into quarter. And we know how to track. But okay, how can I do it? Because it's still hard, right? So I know what to need to do. But here is a thing. You need to act. We know. But how can we act easy. We need to understand the difference between goal and system. The goal is easy to reach, and you see it. I want to lose 5 kilos. A system, it's something that you build. It is normally hard to change, especially because we are talking about habits. And if you do it and you leave it in background, like an automatic behavior. If we understand the difference between these 2 points and we understand how our brain works, so our brain wants to do less effort always. So instead to choose every single day if I need to work out, because really I don't like it, but if instead to choosing every single day if I had to work out, I decide and I plan it and I find a place in my day to do it, I don't need to do it. I don't need to think anymore. I don't need to take the choice to do it. So what I did, I created a calendar. Yeah, I know, I'm a fan of Google Calendar. And I have created a calendar called Habits. And so I have all my habits listed in it. So I don't need anymore to decide, okay, do I need to work out or not? No, this is what I have to do. And in each single slot, I have defined my routine. My routine has changed a lot over the years. Like for workout, I've trusted to do after work, but then I finished all my work late. Then I started to do at the very beginning of the morning with yoga, but then it was hard because it was not so funny for me. So I decided to work 50 minutes and 10 minutes of workout for the day. That didn't work. Then I found my way. So I do 15 minutes of yoga, 30 minutes of workout, and then in the meantime, I listen training courses. This is the thing that works for me, so I'm able to do some movement. I saw that in this way, 80% of goals were reached. And just implementing routines and habits in my life. This is another talk on how to implement routine and habits. But then I like also make graphics, and this was like assessment about what I was and my goals during the years. The thing I want to share with you, last stuff, I'm more or less in time, is that we always think that we need to reach goal, we need to go on, and when we don't do it, we feel like a failure. In reality, we need to not to think about failure. We need to think about learning. We never fail. We learn. It's not about like reaching thousands of goals. It's about to learn how we react to some situation, what we have learned to that situation that maybe we didn't reach that goal. This is both personally and at work. Because if we learn, we can improve next time. And this culture of failure and learning about failure is super important. Because especially the thing that happens normally is that I miss that goal, I don't want to have more goals. Or I miss that goal, I'm motivated and I don't want to do anymore. If you have just one rule, never miss twice. If for one time I eat a lot of like sweets, it's not a problem. But the next time that I face the same situation, maybe emotionally I was angry or I was not feeling well, just recognize yourself, understand yourself, who you are, how do you feel in that moment, and don't miss twice. So, I tried to go super fast. It was easy to reach goals, but I still didn't know where I was going. It was still super hard. Okay, in 1 year I'm able to reach the goal, but still, who I will be in 5 years, in 10 years, I wasn't able. So, think about my life as a business. So, what if I treat my life as like a business? As I said, the only project that is important is me. So, there is a difference between vision and mission, right? So the vision is where we want to go in the future, and the mission is what we do and why we do it now. Vision, I didn't have any kind of idea. I know what I was doing and why I was thinking. I saw a TED talk, some Simon Sinek, who was talking about the golden circle. We are always focused about what and how, but we'll never focus about why we're doing stuff. And so when we start from the why we're doing stuff, and then we define the what, everything becomes easier. I read a book. How many of you read this book about Ikigai? Few. Okay. I read a book, and this was another super interesting tool. Super quick. You need to understand what you love. I love dancing Latin American music. I love talking with people. What you are good at. I'm good at organizing stuff. What you can be paid for. It seems I can be paid to be a community manager, so that's great. And what the world needs. This is product market fit, right? So if you put everything together, you have the Ikigai. That's the intersection of all this stuff. And which is my Ikigai, you can say. I have a part about well-being, so it's both mental, physical, and emotional and spiritual. I have all the part of people, so the only driver that has always changed in my life are people, and the awareness, my attitude and needs of growth and improvement. And in all these, if you make these 4 questions and you put in the AI, so ChatGPT or whatever, for sure we can also help you to discover your Ikigai. So remember the question about vision and mission? Good. You need to set your guideline. Focus on what you can control. This is the most important stuff. Focus on what you do very well and let everything else. Value relationship and balance them well with work. Remind yourself the positive feelings you've experienced in the past and access if your priorities bring closer or farther from them. Another question I made myself was, where are your mentors? Who are the person that you follow, that inspire you, and that you can take inspiration from them? I have several. I have Michela, I have Simon Sinek, and I have Vision. So there are several. And this is my statement. So enjoy authentically, connect deeply, impact meaningfully, and live brilliantly. This is my, I can say, what I want to be, who I want to live my life. So, to wrap up, 20 seconds, this is your full toolbox from the talk of today. You have your being. Which is the best version of yourself? Are you able to transfer that to the person and that are around you? And what are the values that drive your choices? About Ikigai, what is the meaningful thing for you? What you love, what you're good at, what you can be paid for and the world needs. Then you have the golden circle, and you need to find your mission. Then you have the framework, how to reach your goal. Retrospective, design, plan, and track. And then you have your habits, your system to reach the goal, and to win and learn from failures. So focus, action, and curiosity are the silent power behind every single great achievement. Experiment, find your way, measure, and find what works for you. I would like to leave you with a challenge. And I would like to ask you, if now you would receive an SMS right now with the following text: my dear, from now on, you will have unlimited money in your bank account. Would you be able to describe in the most precise way what would you do during the first week? And then, if you would be able to see your life just in weeks, would you be able to feel the rest of your life? Thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy it.
Por ejemplo, Michela, veía que, por una parte, estabas haciendo el trabajo de tus objetivos y tus pasiones y demás por escrito, pero luego lo pasabas a una herramienta online. Entonces, tengo curiosidad por saber si sigues con la herramienta online y si aún tienes ese momento de journaling o de escribir a mano.
Sí. hablo in English.
Sorry, I will ask in English.
Okay. So, yeah, I started in 2021 journaling, and I did it just on paper. It was better for me to do in like analogical, because I was living a moment in which there was a lot of confusion in my mind, and everything, I wasn't able to sleep like during the night. So journaling and writing down physically everything that was in my mind really helped me to clear my thoughts. So I started physically, I started also like for 1 year, something like that. But at the end, I need to shift because I travel really a lot during the year. So having like this block physically was hard. But the Wheel of Life, do it in like with colors and on a piece of paper, I think it's better than online. So I prefer to do it like take my time to do it physically, and then replace it in online, because of course online then I have like the history and it's easier to manage.
I completely agree with you. In fact, there are a connection between brain and hands. And the other question, you told us about you start to use OKRs and this type of objectives with your team. What type of change you feel with your team, maybe improvements or whatever, since you start until now?
The most important thing was that having clear and written objective gave us more clarity to understand what was doing who in the team, and also especially how we measure that objective. Because one thing is to say, okay, we need to organize 5 meetups in a year. Another thing is to say we need to organize 5 meetups in a year. Every meetup needs to have 60 persons. We need to deliver this kind of contents, and we need to have the rate of satisfaction of 80%. You choose and you organize, for instance, meetup in a different way. Because if you just need to organize a meetup, you just create a landing page and that's done. If you need to reach other key results that says you these meetups have reached a goal, that's different. So this helped also me to focus the entire team on what truly matters and what's meaningful for us. And there are not vanity metrics also about that.
Okay, so thank you very much. So if you want to ask some questions now in the app, just with the microphone.
Or I'm here if you want to give me feedback, of course, I will be more than happy.
Yeah, and you can put your feedback too in the app. And thank you very much, Michela, for your talk.
Thank you very much.